Hi friends, this is a video for a special yogini who we've been working together for quite some time. This is her second installment sponsored by this person, thank you. And it goes along with the yoga private session that we had together. So if you're interested, email me, text me, call me. The website's up and running, being updated as we speak. And we're going to practice here today for that second half. You do not have to be sitting on the floor. This video is intended for someone in particular. You know you can practice on your bed or in a chair if that works better for you. So come to sit in a comfortable seat for you and bring those palms together, acknowledging all of the nerve endings in our fingertips and our fingers and our palms, even the pressure points, and the good change we can create with the friction between our hands. Some warmth on a chilly midwinter day. And once you have some warmth or heat even, the invitation is to cup your hands over your ears or your eyes, finding your breathing. And then maybe bring those hands down to your heart center, your heart space, that fourth chakra that we sometimes see as a highway of communication to the throat chakra. And as you continue to find your breath, let's find the knees with the palms facing down if that works for you, and we'll create some circular motion as the full moon is once again on her way. And if it works for you, allowing the navel center to pull in and up a bit gently, but so that that front body is activated and your back body can say, all right, I'm supported. I don't have to do all this work by myself. And finding your breathing. And next time you arrive center or near one of the knees, let's reverse the circles. Finding our breathing. And coming center. If it works for you, we'll come to sit on the heels. So for some of us, we may prefer to have a little cushion under the ankles, depending on the floor, and a little cushion between lower and upper legs, and even a block between the feet can give us that little boost up that helps the knees find a little more room. So see what works for you. And on an inhale, the invitation is to find a seated cow. And then on an exhale, the invitation is to find a seated cat. And you can find your own pace, your own rhythm here. Traditionally or classically, if we were in a very classical Kundalini yoga class, we would be moving faster, and we would be breathing more powerfully. That's not to say that the gentle breath is not powerful. We know gentle can be quite powerful as well. So finding balance wherever you are today with that breathing technique and with your moving as we warm up the spine. Coming center, finding your breathing. And as you're ready, your arms will extend out to the side. So we'll bring our wrists in line with our shoulders, and if it works for you, the thumbs will hook over your shoulders and the other four fingers will face down. Sometimes our wrists prefer to make fists and be in line with the elbows and shoulders rather than do that bend. But see what works for you here. Sometimes it can be a really nice release of the wrist to do this movement. And when you're ready, we'll move to one side and then the other. And again, it's the inhale, if possible, one side, exhale, other side, and we'll keep the elbows out rather than moving, one in front and one to the side. We'll try to keep them in line with our shoulders. And if you find that you need more breathing, then do that. Find your breathing. Coming center, releasing your hands, finding your breathing. And as you're ready, let's invite the shoulders to become more involved, perhaps lifting and rolling away from your ears, moving toward the wall or whichever is behind you, maybe lifting and rolling up toward the ears and forward if that works for you, finding balance in your shoulder release. You can do one or the other or both. And as it makes sense, let's lift and lower more quickly and find your breathing. Maybe an inhale up, exhale down. Releasing your breath, finding your breathing. Releasing your shoulders. And as you're ready, we'll invite the palms together, 4 fingers point, other fingers interlace, thumb stack, and this can be done with either pinky on bottom and either thumb on top. You might like to do just what comes naturally. You might like to switch it up and try the other way if that's how it works for you. And then the hands could be in front of you or they could come up above you. The invitation as we hold this pose, which we're creating a Kriya right now, a set of postures, and keep finding your breathing. In the Kundalini school of yoga, a set of postures is called a Kriya. And this can be done all by itself as a Kriya all by itself if you'd like. The invitation is to think, say, or listen to sound Sat, S-A-T, followed by Nam, N-A-M. The translation is I am truth. We are truth. And so the invitation is also to do that little pull in and up of the navel center and then a release. So on the Sat, S-A-T, Sat, pull in and up. Nam, Sat, Sat, Nam, Sat, Nam. If that works for you, these are all things to explore and see what feels right for you in this moment. If you prefer to recite Sat Nam in your first language or one of your languages, go for it. If you prefer I am, do that. If you just want to listen, that's fine as well. Finding our breathing. And I'll start after an exhale. Sat, Nam, 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 Sat, Nam. I am, I am, I am. We are, we are, we are. Finding your inhale. If you'd like, pausing the breath while you engage the root lock. The muscles at the seat act as if you need to find the restroom. There's none to be found. This is what you do until you find the restroom. Imagining as you pause the breath, if that works for you, the heat rising up the back of the spine, through the back of the heart, out through the crown of the head, and finally releasing the breath, the lock, the hands, the arms, and taking a Guru Pranam pose. If you'd like, you could keep the mudra or the gesture with the hands. You could also simply bring the palms together overhead in what we typically know as child's pose or balasana. Your knees could be snuggled next to each other, or you can create a little space for there. See what feels best. And then slowly but surely making your way to table pose, maybe a downward facing dog. Maybe you'll pedal it out a bit, and you can of course walk those feet up to your hands or your hands back to your feet, finding our breathing as the hands find the shins or a chair or a bench, finding a long quiet spine. Hands may make their way to the hips and will come up to stand. And so the next Kriya we'll work on is for self-empowerment. And the invitation is to find the stance for your feet that makes sense for you. So you might go wider than hips. You might go hips width. And we'll keep space between the feet if that's all right with you for this next set. Let's walk our way through it because it has a few different poses at least. So I'm just noticing we might need a little more space for you to see my arms. Yeah, I think you'll see. Okay, so the first part is overhead clap. A little space between the feet. Hands come up overhead and you're actually clapping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you're bringing the hands down automatically to the ground. If you're not finding the ground, maybe you'll find some books or a bench or blocks. Maybe you'll bend your knees to get there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we'll come up and we do arm flaps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's about 6 inches that you're going down and then back up shoulder level. And after the arm flaps, we add our crisscrosses. So we can walk through them. 1, 2, or step through them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And eventually that might look like a hop. And after our crisscrosses, we find our archer pose. So it's similar to what some of us know as warrior 2 with our footing. And then we act as if we're taking hold of a bow and we're pulling back on that arrow. So your thumbs are up. The thumb closest to you is pressing down on top of your fist. And your front thumb is up, and that's where your gaze is. Some of us call that a drishti, a soft gaze over perhaps something you're inviting in for this soon-to-be year of the fire horse, right? We're shedding every last bit we can with the end of the year of the snake. I think it was the wood snake. And then after we do one, you'll notice I'm bouncing a little on my foot, and it is a little different than warrior two. My back foot is on a diagonal, but my hips are not completely facing forward like they would in warrior one. They're more off to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we switch sides and we do the other archer pose. So it's, you know, your thumbs are in place. It's as if you're pulling back on that arrow. Your wrist and elbow and shoulder are pretty much in line. Thumb on top, thumb in front, up. That's where your gaze is. Front knee bends if that's okay with you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we come center and we do the crisscross again. So 1, 2, and eventually this is a hop. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we've reached the upward arch or the back bend. So you may want to just check in with sacral spine and low back as you invite the bend. The hands are overhead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We return to the crisscross. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we do side bends, and this is the only time where it's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check in with sacral spine, tailbone scooped perhaps. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that gets you to your 8. And then we come back to the crisscross. I'll switch sides. 1, 2, with where I'm starting. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So sometimes the directions are very particular about which side to start on. This one is, as far as I've been taught, not as particular, but sometimes I like to switch it up. Whew. And so now we're going to add the sound in with our English letters. We would spell it H-A-R. The R's rolled. Some of you are much more professional at that than I am. I was taught to say hada, 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 hada. So the tongue actually is tapping the roof of your mouth on the hada, 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 hada. Let me see if I can adjust the camera a bit so that you can see where my hands and arms are. Excuse my hands for a moment while we're going through all of that. That should help, I hope. Okay, and as you can tell, the Kundalini Yoga is often, not all the time, often much more aerobic than our other forms of yoga. They all kind of fall under the umbrella of Hatha or Hatha, H-A-T-H-A, right? So here we go for our Shakti Energy. Our feet will find their way hips width apart. If you need to check in with that tailbone, please do. You know, some of us are already quite scooped there and we need to do a pull in and up. Some of us are already kind of arched there and we need to really give that tailbone a little scoop just so front body knows, okay, we're working together and everything is going to be strong and fine. Okay, so overhead clap is our first part. 8 times, sound hada as you wish. Hada translates to the infinite. Finding your breathing. Hada, 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 hada. Directly down to the floor. Hada, 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 hada. Coming up, arm flaps. Hada, 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 hada. Archer pose. Hada, 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 hada. Archer pose. Hada, 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 hada. Adding in the crisscross, you can step or hop. Hada, 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 hada. Coming back, and we'll add on our arch, backward arch or upward arch or opening the heart. Hada, 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 hada. Finding our crisscross. Hada, 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 hada. And our side bends, 4 on each. Hada, 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 hada. Crisscross. Hada, 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 hada. Back to the start, removing any layers that you may need to as we warm things up a bit and we welcome that Shakti energy to create balance. Where are we? The claps overhead. Hada, 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 directly to the earth. Hada, 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 hada. Arm flaps. Hada, 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 hada. This is where the crisscrosses begin. We'll have to do an extra set because I left them out the first round. Hada, 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 hada. Should we do an extra set now? Hada, 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 hada. Do your extra set at the end if you prefer. And then after our crisscross, we move into archer pose. Hada, 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 hada. Switching sides. Hada, 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 hada. Coming center for our back bends. Hada, 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 hada. Crisscross. Hada, 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 hada. I'm adding in a set because I forgot them after the archer. Hada, 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 hada. Whew. Side bends. 4. Hada, 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 hada. Crisscross. Hada, 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 hada. And we begin again. Release a layer if you'd like. Excuse me while I cough. It stirs some stuff up, right? Okay, where do we begin? The overhead claps. Hada, 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 hada. Forward fold. Hada, 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 hada. Arm flaps. Hada, 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 hada. Crisscross. Hada, 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 hada. Archer pose. Yes. Hada, 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 hada. Other side. Hada, 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 hada. Crisscross. Hada, 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 hada. Back bends. Hada, 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 hada. Crisscross. Hada, 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 hada. Side bend. Hada, 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 hada. Crisscross. Hada, 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 hada. Whew. As with, find your breathing. Many of the Kundalini exercises, find your mat. We come down to rest after that, and we eventually find our breathing again. So I just want to tell you a couple things. If you're moving forward with this practice, the suggestion is to rest differently depending, and now I need my glasses, hang on, find your breathing. To rest differently depending on the day. So one day, rest on your back with the knees pulled into the chest and the arms wrapped around the bent legs. The next day, rest in child's pose. And the suggestion is to relax for at least 5 minutes. So we did child's pose at the beginning of this practice. Let's go ahead and pull the knees in if that works for you. Finding our breathing. And you know, sometimes we hold behind the upper legs, sometimes we hold on top of the low legs, sometimes we give it a nice big hug in. If you need a rock and a roll, you can add that in. If you need to loosen the grip, go right ahead. I'm holding my wrists now. And as the practice often teaches flexibility in more ways than one. So if you forget something, add it in. Not all teachers would agree with me, but this is how the practice has supported me in many ways, but this way for sure is to be more flexible with how to do it. So we add in, we improvise, and we become more flexible in perhaps our past more rigid ways of thinking. If you would like to take a longer Shavasana resting pose, constructive rest pose, please do. If you and when you are feeling complete, let's do a bit of what some call a stretchy cat. So one leg can extend, one leg can come in. You might even give it a nice hug in. You might give it some circles while the other hip stays grounded, reversing the circles. And then we'll cross this knee over the midline, and the foot that belongs to the bent knee will rest somewhere on your extended leg, if that works for you. I went through a phase where this didn't work for me, and it just felt better to bend both knees, or even to support the knees with a pillow or a blanket. You could keep your gaze up to the ceiling or the sky, or you could gently lift your head and turn away from the bent knee. And then coming center, we'll switch sides. So other leg extends, other knee receives a hug in, maybe making some circles while you keep the other hip grounded. Reversing circles. And then bringing that knee across the midline, and the bent knee foot rests somewhere on that long leg, if that works for you. If it doesn't work for you, bend both knees. Another way to become more flexible. One posture doesn't feel just right, we have options. We don't have to do it the same way all the time. That was a really tricky lesson for me when I first started yoga. And then when I first started teaching, I wanted to know the right way. And so there seems to be many ways. It's a nice release to invite other ways of thinking to encourage my practice. Head could be in the center, or if you've already turned it, you can turn away. You can even gently lift and turn away from your bent knee. And then we'll come center, and as you wish, we'll rub the soles of feet together and the palms of hands together, awakening all of those nerve endings now, thousands of them. Releasing the feet and cupping the hands over the eyes or the ears as you wish. And then rocking and rolling your way to the side, or you can rock and roll forward and back a few times and give that massage to your spine until you come up to your seat. And let's conclude with a self-empowering mantra or chant, as some would call it. The sounds are Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo. And this repeats, so you'll get the hang of it. Set of Shakti, Set of Shakti, Set of Shakti, Namo Namo. Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Namo Namo. Kundalini, Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo. And if you're feeling like your temperature is changing, add those layers back on. My Kundalini teacher always wanted us to have a warm spine in particular at the end of our practice. This can be sung, the sounds, the yoga sounds, or can be chanted more in a monotone. And if you love music, as I do, you can look these sounds up and find various renditions of the chanting or the singing, and you find what works for you, because sometimes it's just more fun and lighthearted to sing along or chant along with a recording, and sometimes not, you'll see. So the invitation is to take the hand that you use the most and rest it inside the hand you use the least, with the thumbs touching, or you could cross your heart center and have your hands holding your shoulders. I think they are particular about which hand goes where. So let me just check here. Tips, heart center. Left palm underneath, right over top. Oh, that's the, yeah, okay, there we go. So I have my left hand first, then my right hand, and then we'll begin the chanting. And if you would like this written out, just touch base with me and I'm happy to type it out for you. Yes, okay. So left underneath, right over top, if you feel like being particular. If not, no worries. Finding our breathing. And as always, you're welcome to listen, you're welcome to join in, you're welcome to mentally recite if that just suits you better, that's fine. These are self-empowering sounds. Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo. Set of Shakti, Set of Shakti, Set of Shakti, Namo Namo. Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Namo Namo. Kundalini, Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo. Find your breathing. Two more. After an inhale. Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo. Set of Shakti, Set of Shakti, Set of Shakti, Namo Namo. Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Namo Namo. Kundalini, Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo. Find your breathing. One more round. Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo. Set of Shakti, Set up Shakti, Namo Namo. Pritam Bhagwati, Namo Namo. Kundalini, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo. Bringing hands to heart center as you wish. Thank you, friends, for sharing your practice with me. Together, we can empower each other and take good care of each other. If this practice speaks to you, in the Kundalini tradition, often we start with 3 to 5 rounds, the set for the Shakti energy. And for this one in particular, the suggestion is to make our way up to, I want to say 11, but I want to double check. We can do this set, this Kriya, yeah. So we started with 3. You could start with 3 to 5 and make your way up to 10 rounds and work up to as many as you can do without overexerting yourself. And so that's a lesson in and of itself, isn't it? Be in touch if you wish. Take good care.